Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good day, whenever you're seeing us, hearing us, however you do it. My name is Jason Myles.
And this is Steve Connolly. This is Real Estate 360 Show, and we have realestate360show.com.
That's correct.
So what's going on?
Well, we also have Real Estate 360 Show on iTunes, Google. So go there. Go to iTunes, check us out, leave us a review. You don't even know how important that is to us. We just want to know how much you love us, how much you hate us, what you'd like to hear, if you like the content, whatever you want to say, just say something. Go download the show. You can hear it, listen to it, watch it, YouTube as well, Real Estate 360.
And you can even find us on Vimeo. Pronounce that for me.
That's what you said.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you'll have to search us in order to find us.
A lot easier on YouTube, though.
A lot easier on YouTube.
You want to go to
Absolutely.
YouTube.
So cool. What are we talking about? You know what? We have a fantastic show today.
Absolutely.
As usual. As usual.
Tell me about it.
Well, first off, we're going to do a quick review of what we spoke about last week, which is the 3 things you need to know, every investor needs to know before they start jumping into real estate. And basically, it's a sorting process, right? So you want to find out what a property is worth after it's all fixed up and ready to go. We call that after repaired value, or ARV. You hear us say that, ARV, a lot. Sometimes we go through that really quick, but that's what it means, after repaired value.
I got wait 1 second.
Sure.
For those that are watching, I just need to know, does anyone else hear piano music in the back of their head? Because I know I do.
Do you? What's going on?
Can I get a little Elton John going on right now?
Well, we'll have to get a CD out because there ain't no playing going on over here. But, we can look the part and we can have some fun.
You guys have to go to YouTube and see this episode with our man Steve over here, the man who never ceases to amaze us.
Man, I gotta have some fun with this. I mean, yes, it's radio, but there are 3 cameras in here.
There are 3 cameras, which they can all be seen on YouTube.
And it's my job, to notice those cameras and take advantage of them in some way, I mean, but at the same time, really the message is,
every good team should have a superhero.
Hey, I like that.
Okay, you're the guy.
Yeah, but we're both superheroes, so anyway, but, the point is really not that we want to call attention to ourselves. Of course, we do. I mean, it's all about the ratings, of course. But it's not really about that. It's more about the lifestyle. And yes. Dale Wansley talks about that a lot. He even named his company that. And I have a lot of respect for that man because I listen to him a lot. He talks about the multifamily. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So, but it's about not taking ourselves too seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you do is a lifestyle. So if you're a secretary, that's your lifestyle, just embrace it. Whatever it is you do or whatever it is you want to do in life and who you want to be, just be that person. Wherever you are in life, just be who you want to be. It's not about faking it till you make it.
No.
Just be, right?
Yeah.
Be in the lifestyle that you want to be 100% of the time. I mean, you can be whatever you want to be right there, right in the mind. Just be that person. But to get back to the recap.
Is this too much?
I love it.
I can
you
switch.
See well?
I can see fine.
You look like you
it feels
see
like
the future
Christmas
with those
in
things.
here. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So you can see the future of those things. Tell me, Swami, what will become of me?
Well, we're going to talk about, I don't know about you, but we're going to talk about overall market trends in a little bit, which is your idea, which is a fantastic idea for our topic.
I'll take the credit for that.
Coming up. Yes.
Do I get extra publishing for that? No?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, let's get back. So the other 2 things that an investor
so we got ARV.
Right. And then we need to know what the asking price is right now. So, that's a determining factor.
Right.
Not necessarily you're going to pay that or anything else.
And for us, the asking price is what we're asking to buy it for.
No, this is when we're looking for things to buy.
Okay, got you.
So what are they asking for the property for us to evaluate it on a purchase?
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for asking that. And then thirdly, we want to know and kind of estimate the amount of repairs necessary to bring that property up to that ARV, the after repaired value.
Because we can't do anything. We can't make any offers. You can't hire contractors. Right. you're just out there spinning your wheels if you don't know some of those numbers. And there are a lot of people that kind of, especially when it comes to the asking price part, there are a lot of people that just don't care what the asking price is. They're going to put the offer in as they need to put it in.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because really what I'm looking for and what you're looking for is something that's fairly close or better than what we would offer anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got 100 properties and laying out there in front of you on the MLS sheets or Zillow or what have you, and you sort through and you find that there's, out of these investment properties, there's 2 of them that are pretty close, to the price that would generate our needed profit on a purchase,
mm-hmm.
then those are the ones you want to offer on. That way you got a lot less negotiating to do and a lot higher percentage of possibility of actually getting a signed contract.
That's right. And also, real briefly, so we can kind of get into the subject matter of the day, don't be greedy as an investor. And what I mean by that is, if the deal isn't good for both parties, it's not a good deal, period. Because ultimately what happens is you wind up having this negative discourse throughout the entire process. And we've seen people walk away from closings because, they just weren't happy, whether it be the buyer or the seller. Generally, it will be the seller who walks away, right? Or the buyer will walk away when the seller changes the terms at the last minute. We've seen these things. The seller isn't familiar with all of the stuff they know if there are liens on their property, but it's always oh my God, I didn't know that was there. And now I need $2,800 more from you, sir.
Right.
Those things happen. Also, when we're looking at properties, and I've done it a good number of times. I'll go look at a property that someone has responded to, whatever marketing process they went through. Could have been a call, could have been direct mail, could have been a bandit sign. Most of the times in this case, it's direct mail, though. You go look at the house, and the house, it's in pretty good condition. And you know, because you've already done your pre-work before you get to the house, that this house can sell for more than you're going to ask for easily, right? At that point, it's not about taking advantage of the person selling it. Now, if they say, when you ask them, what do you have in mind? If they say a number that you can live with to buy it, then okay, buy it. But generally speaking, if that person knows, hey, look, I've been contemplating putting my house on the market. If I can save, $7,000 by selling it to you directly, I'd rather do that than pay a realtor, because you get that a lot.
Yeah.
But they really want a retail number or something close to a retail number, which we can't possibly offer because we're in business to make money, right?
Yeah.
Not live in that particular house. What I do in every one of those situations is I hand those off to an agent that we work with.
Absolutely.
I send those to Mr. Sammy Hadid in particular, right? Because I know he's going to take care of them, for one. But two, this is a service that's being provided to a person who is obviously considering what they need to do with their home. And I don't want to give them that negative experience in the real estate because people already feel that way about investors.
Well, the only reason that we exist in the marketplace is to solve problems.
That's correct.
And if somebody doesn't have a real estate related problem, then we don't even need to be there.
That's for sure.
Now, if they have a problem and they need to sell right now, they're in foreclosure, they're getting a divorce, they need to settle an estate and a probate, and they need to do it fast, efficient, and cash, we're the guys. But
that's right.
If they're sound financially and they've got a decent house and it's going to retail on the marketplace, then absolutely we'll just call Sammy and say, hey, this is for you. We don't need to be here, and we'll tell our sellers that.
That's right.
We just explain it. There is not a reason for us to be here.
That's right. I mean, I do it all the time. I have a lady who now just gives us opportunities because we passed up on buying her house.
Okay, right.
Because she could get more money for it. Why try to convince her to sell it to us for peanuts? She was that person. She knew she could get more money for the house. Yeah. She was just trying to find a way to potentially save money in fees or commissions or whatever, right? She was just exploring options. So the conversation that I had with her made her feel so good. She sends people to our events. She sends us opportunities that she can't buy, that she might run across or know someone that's selling a property. So we're still benefiting from just being honest guys.
And, there are plenty of properties out there to buy. We don't have to negotiate a particular property, and try to outsmart the seller, any of that stuff.
Right.
Because that doesn't really work, and it comes back and bites you afterwards anyway.
Every time.
And so that, if you go at this from an abundance point of view, you'll be good. You'll be great. There's plenty. Right. As I say, people can mess up houses faster than we can fix them up.
Every time. But listen, we're getting ready to take a break. But when we come back, let's talk about, just existing market conditions and what investors can do to protect themselves from the looming recession.
Looming recession.
That's what they say.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español. Llámanos. Call us today.
All right, we are back. We are back. And Steve has decided to show up in his, what I like to call, the deal analyzer glasses.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man, these are fantastic, They've got the reflective portion out there, so it knocks out all of the bad deals. And then, they're polarized, so, you can see exactly what things, look like in the real world, quote unquote. Anyway, they're
behind-the-scenes world.
They're nice glasses.
Pull back the curtain.
They're good driving glasses.
Yeah. They're good driving glasses.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in the Matrix.
Yes, sir.
Yes. It's all ones and zeros from here.
I guess you got to go, and look us up on the video, man. That's what we're pushing for. You go watch the videos.
And,
okay.
And download us, download the podcast on iTunes and Spotify and all that great stuff. Just got to watch it. Got to hear us. Got to watch us.
Before we get into our next segment of predictions, if you will, we talked a bit about ARVs and the three things you need to know as a review. And September the 14th, we have another seminar for 2 hours, pure information, just like we deliver on this show right here. For 2 hours, you go to eventbrite.com or go to our website, realestate360show.com, and look for it. It's how to use Zillow for all of your research. And hey, one of our producers here said, what about this Z-estimate thing or Zestimate? I don't know how you pronounce it. And we said, no, don't use that. No, that'll just sink your battleship. You know what I'm saying? But you can extrapolate all of the information out of Zillow that you need. Or you can use Redfin or
it's not
the other
even
ones.
The Source Thursday yet.
Pardon?
It's not even the Source Thursday, excuse me.
Oh, yeah, I used that word a couple shows ago. And you questioned me on it. And I sent you the Google definition.
It wasn't extrapolate, though. It was another word.
Yeah, I thought it was. Well, maybe it wasn't.
No, it was another one. This is another one. I'm loving it.
Okay.
Anyway,
so
the Source Thursdays.
September 14th. Let's go. September 14th for how to use your online resources to do all your research for free.
Absolutely.
Now, that's not the only way. We're going to bring Sammy Hadid on in a little bit because we want to touch on calling realtors. Maybe you're too lazy to look online, or maybe you don't understand the online stuff. Call a local realtor in that neighborhood and find out what's going on. But we'll talk about that later.
Absolutely. I mean, we do a lot of different kinds. I mean, this is called Real Estate 360 for a reason, because we do it all. Wholesaling, fix and flip, retailing, multifamily, land, financing, just on and on and on and on. As we were talking a little bit earlier, I've been studying up on a lot of, commercial debt options and looking at what our economy is doing, what's available for us. And in the space that we're in, or the two spaces in particular that we're in the multifamily space and on our retail sales, well, really even on our wholesale acquisitions now, specifically right now, when people are still asking for the high prices, on these deals, but we know we need to be in the lower end of the spectrum because we can see the future because you possess those wonderful glasses.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So since we can see the future, meaning really, truly that it's not that we can see the future, it's that we understand market conditions. We have a better understanding than a lot of people. We definitely have a better understanding today than we did 10, 12 years ago.
And there's a very unique thing going on in this market. And what that is if you look at the median priced house and anything over the median priced house, it is a buyer's market.
Mm-hmm.
Anything under the median priced house, it's a seller's market.
Mm-hmm.
It's a split market.
Right.
And that is the first time that's ever happened.
It's an amazing place to be.
Yeah,
it really is. And it puts you in the middle of a game, if you will, of how to price a home, which is what you just mentioned just a few minutes ago. And listen, it doesn't matter how great you think you are as a real estate investor. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing this. Things are different all the time. Yes, you can have your thumb on the pulse of the industry, but consulting with people that are boots on the ground every single day, like Sammy or any agent that you'd like to deal with, but Sammy, call Sammy. But it's imperative, actually, that you reach out and say, hey, listen, I have this house. I'm going to be renovating it. I'm going to be selling it. It should take us about X amount of months to get there. This is the price I'm looking at. What do you think, Mr. or Mrs. Agent?
Absolutely. Even with these glasses, which gives me a very unique perspective, I'm still limited to the one perspective that I can see through these glasses or through my eyeballs. So it's highly important to, as you said, reach out, get other people's perspectives.
Absolutely.
They have research available like on the MLS. They can see what's going on in the neighborhood.
Right. And,
you might get over enthusiastic about what you think is something that's worth. I always do.
Absolutely.
That's my job,
That's right. We want $1 million for something we just spent $100,000 on.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just what we want. I mean, what can you do? It's there. It's what we do. Having said that, though, working with someone who, an agent in particular, if you're retailing a home, is you want them to be a part of the process the whole time, especially if they're worth their stock, right? And, meaning they do the work, they do the research, they know how to market effectively. They're finding the data, and their company, if they're with a big company, or if they're a person like me that's going to sit down and do all this research all the time, they're going to know what the best price should be, or in terms of the price point for your home, a window. They're going to know if you're over the top. They're going to know if you're putting too much in the house. Like, oh, you don't need to have, the 3-inch granite or whatever kind of, those big table countertops.
Yeah, you may not need quartz.
You may not need that, right?
You may not need quartz. You may just need Formica.
Yeah,
depending
exactly.
on what you're doing.
Exactly. So it's just knowing those things, that those intricacies, if you will, that are really going to help you as a seller, as an investor, really kind of get in the game and make better deals, which require thinner offers, especially in times like this. We've got houses that, we were marketing at one price. Now we know we have to come back on those prices because we want to move, that inventory. We got to get, even if we don't make any money, we have to move that inventory to make room for good inventory.
Exactly.
Newer inventory, that it's going to be priced better for what we want to do, 6 months from now, or whatever the situation is. Because, it's so very important to understand the kind of cycles that we're in and see what's going on. And sidebar here, we're watching all these Class A. We started this conversation this morning, guys, with the group here, and we're watching all these Class A apartment buildings being
Before we
built.
go right there.
Oh, but it's important. It's
Okay.
important.
Hit it.
It's important because if you're seeing it, we're all seeing it. We can't go down the street without the detour and the yellow or the orange cones and it's just simply everywhere. Now, those things are being overbuilt, and they're overpriced for most of us. I mean, when we're looking at a place, a lot of people don't want to buy a single family house. A lot of people want to buy an apartment, a condo, a townhouse, but when the starting price is $350,000, they always say starting in the low to mid threes, right? You got to get excited. You get there, it's $399. What happened to the low to mid part? We're at the high end of this thing here. People aren't going to be able to do that. And when I say people, I'm not just talking about the buyers. I'm talking about the sellers. Those sellers are going to have to get realistic here in a short period of time. They're not going to be able to do it forever. Yes. And that is when we'll start to see a lot of the things that we've seen before in our industry in terms of sliding prices, where people know, it's like there's no question we can't hold out anymore.
That's right. If you're looking at the internet, you'll see price reductions here a lot more. I mean, over the last 2.5, 3 years, we have seen some major shifts in the overall real estate market. I mean, when we jumped in certain areas, we saw prices just rocket up.
Yeah, super fast.
We probably were somewhat of a catalyst for that because we were so active in certain areas.
Yeah.
But then we saw it kind of level out, and we kind of transferred our business from strictly wholesale into some fix and flips.
Mm-hmm.
And as we saw that plateauing, and now, again, it's changing. I mean, I've just never seen stuff move so fast as I have. I mean, I've only been at this for 35 or so years, but I've never seen the market move so fast in terms of ups, plateaus, changes. Now we're looking at possibly a slowdown, we'll call it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then, so what do you do now? And we're evolving quickly now. A lot of people we see who are maybe still trying to do just wholesale stuff, they're dying.
Yes, they are. They absolutely are. And listen, if you're a small business person out there, whether you're wholesaling or fix and flipping or even buying, small apartment buildings, if you're that person, you're small enough to shift. You could turn on a dime. You just have to have your eyes open. You have to communicate with people in the market, understand what's going on so that you can shift. You're a tugboat. We've all heard that analogy, right? If there's a tugboat and a battleship in the middle of the water and they both get the call at the same time to come back, that battleship's going to go 50 miles out and turn around before it can do the U-turn. The battleship the little tugboat can simply just turn around and come back and get there faster.
It could, but a lot of people have their minds to deal with, and so their rudders are stuck.
That's right.
In one thing, and what you have to do is you have to step out of that and learn some new stuff in order
to get around a new group of people.
Yeah, put some grease on your rudder.
That's right.
Some WD-40, something.
That's right.
And turn it.
That's right. You have to get out there. You're watching market shifts. You're hearing about it every day. Whether it does or it doesn't, you need to prepare yourself. You need to prepare yourself for how you're going to continue to do business from here on forward.
And coming up, we have Mr. Sammy Hadid, realtor from outer space. I mean, he's the best.
Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah, so
we're going to take a little break, right?
Yes, sir.
And let's get back here with Sammy. Do you need to sell your house? Well, our company will buy your house. We make the process very fast, very easy, and it's all cash. All you have to do is give us a call today.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833willbuy.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
All right, we are back. And as promised, we have the one and only Sammy Hadid.
Woo! Yes, I love that guy.
Realtor extraordinaire. So what's up, Mr. Sammy?
Oh, it's just another beautiful day to sell real estate, Jason.
Yes, it is.
I'm happy to see you as well, Steve.
Thank you.
Very happy, sir. Very happy.
Well,
the glasses are pretty spiffy. I'm enjoying them a lot.
Well, okay, we'll stick around for segment 4 because there'll be more to come.
Well, Sammy, I know you've been hearing a lot about what we've been talking about, and I wanted to get your input on a lot of this as you are in that space daily. You're dealing with people daily, weekly, monthly that are in different types of situations in this market. Now, knowing that you sold a bunch of real estate when the times were great.
Right.
Good isn't even really
good is an understatement.
Right.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Now, I mean, what are you seeing right now? How does it affect your business, and how are you helping the homeowners and investors get through all this that's going on in their business?
Well, certainly, you gentlemen have touched on it a lot. It's a ever-shifting market that's going on right now, of course. And kind of like you just mentioned, even up until a year ago, you could list a property at a fair market value, and it was easy enough that somebody would bring a buyer and it would go under contract. But now there has been a shift. Steve had mentioned it just a minute ago, a leveling out and kind of a decrease, some would say. So right now, I'm taking on a lot of clients whose homes were either expired or withdrawn off the market during the spring and summer season. And it's not.
And I just want to be clear, when you say expired or withdrawn, what you're saying is the listing was there for 3 months, 6 months, nothing happened, or the owner of that property pulled it off, withdrew it from MLS to search other options.
Yes, the owners withdrew it to search other options. They weren't happy with with the results they were getting.
Mm-hmm.
And I would approach them, and I swear to you, these people are essentially just telling me, Sam, I just need this property sold. That's all I want, is I need it sold. They're moving on to the next chapter of their lives. They're building a home. They're relocating, whatever it may be. And not to say that the agents before them did a bad job. They had, in my opinion, actually priced the property to what was a fair market value, I guess you could say. But even that is not enough anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even talking about luxury market, where it's $650,000 to $700,000, even higher, where these are properties that are priced in the 200s and 300s.
Wow.
Which, kind of like you said, a year ago, 2 years ago, I mean, your grandmother could list it and it would go under contract because the market was so strong.
Wow. So, excuse me. So having said that, what are you doing, or how are you leading your clients to the well of prosperity?
So, lay a little breadcrumbs out, let them follow it to the promised land.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
Just follow me, Sammy Hadid. I'm
That's
from
right.
outer space, baby. Right. Yeah, so these days what I'm doing is I'm bringing an insane amount of data, right, in regards to what the houses around the properties are selling for, okay? And I'm showing them the average days on market. And at that point, it's up to them to understand that the market has shifted and they might not be able to get what they felt was fair market value even a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's an ever-changing market, as you know. Real estate is affected by everything going on in the global economy, things of that nature. So
Right.
It's a trickle-down effect.
Right, because it's the financial markets ultimately that we're really talking about.
Of course.
So right now, I mean, we're watching people be a little fearful of making purchases really of any significant size, whether it be a car or a home,
Sure.
even though interest rates are
low.
I mean, they're beyond low. I mean, we're seeing a lot of refinances, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But home purchases, you would think, that a 3.25% interest rate would stimulate, the market to get into something, because
You would think, right?
you would think that. But we're seeing the exact opposite. The lower the interest rates go, the slower the existing home sales and new home sales seem to be moving.
Yeah. So it's a little discerning, to say the least. I mean, I have a woman whose home has been renovated. It's beautiful. It's priced at $250,000, and never in my life would I have thought it would have lasted, 2-3 weeks on the market. So it's, like I said, it's a bit discerning at the moment.
So now pricing it aggressively today is not something that you would recommend, at least on the upside.
Well, I would recommend pricing it aggressively, especially if you want it sold.
Mm-hmm.
And, some people are moving and they don't want to carry on 2 mortgages. So in the end, people still love value.
Right,
I mean, it always comes down to value. It always comes down to dollars and cents, no matter what anybody tells you. So you can either choose to price it aggressively or know that you might have to wait until perhaps next year to get a fair market value for it.
Mm-hmm.
But in the current market, if you want a property sold, I genuinely believe that you have to price it aggressively.
So do you think that it's a supply and demand issue? Because I'm suggesting that because interest rates are lower doesn't mean that people are going to buy less. It would seem to me that they would buy more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying I'm thinking the correlation may be something else besides, you lower interest rates and people buy less. That doesn't make any sense. But is it supply and demand?
Supply and demand, I think there's a lot more supply than there is demand at the moment, personally. Just because, just with the listings that I have now, even at, like I said, at a fair price, I noticed that the showings aren't nearly as many as I would have thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and this might be me referencing back to the heyday, I guess you could say, when it was easy to sell a house. You just priced it okay, maybe fairly, and you'd get a lot of showings and maybe even a couple offers.
Yeah, back in the roaring mid-teens.
The roaring mid-teens, right? The roaring mid-teens, baby. Oh, do you remember that time?
But, if you look at what's going on, we're just doing another cycle. Yeah. Has anybody ever heard of the boom-bust economy? Guess what? We're doing it again. Mm-hmm. It was boom, and now it's kind of slowing down a little bit. I'm not going to say bust. But, a year ago, I was driving around looking at all these new construction things going on. I'm thinking, oh, great, look at all this stuff I'm going to get to buy really cheap, in a year and a half, 2 years from now.
Well, and you're right. It is just it's part of the cycle. So when you look historically, and I'm going to use this word again, not that I don't want it to be there, but it's there, the word, the R word.
Yeah. Can we just say slow down?
It is a slowdown. It's definitely now.
Let's not make it
right.
Let's not make it totally a self-fulfilling prophecy.
But even if it were, though, over the past 20 years, those cycles have occurred, I think, 4 times, and the average duration is only 10 months. That means it was worse right there in the middle. That was when it was at its worst. So if it's happening now, it's a slowdown, and it gets to that point, and then it's really bad in the middle, and then it slowly gets better until they say, okay, this was the recovery. But that average time is 10 months. Considered going way back in time when those same economic conditions would happen, I don't know, let's say from the 1920s to the 40s, to the mid-40s. In that 25-year time span, a recession would last almost 2 years.
Wow.
Almost 2 years. So
let's get back to Sammy. What do you think about this?
Exactly, and that's exactly where I'm going with it. So, Sammy, when we're looking, you've been doing this now for several years. You started doing this right after the biggest recession of modern times.
Oh, the crash and burn.
Right.
Yes.
And you started to learn what to do and how to implement different strategies after that.
Certainly.
So knowing that, expecting it not to be that bad, but there being this slowdown, when you're working with someone like us, how are you saying, hey, listen, this is how you need to price this right now? I know a year ago when you bought it, or you thought you could get 400,000, but right now, this is what you need to do. How do you have that conversation? And how is it a percentage? Is it an area?
Well, the way you have that type of conversation is, again, you show up very well prepared in regards to the properties that have sold within the last 6 months that are very similar to yours, of course, right? And by the end of the conversation, you and the seller should be on the same page in regards to pricing. And I've never had anybody give me a big hug at the closing table and say, you know what, Sam, this was sold for so much more than I ever would have thought. Thank you so much. I thank you. Come over for dinner. We'll have wine. It's never like that. Nobody ever gets as much as they want. So it all depends on what's going on with the market. And like I said, after we sit down and go over everything in detail, we should have the same mindset in regards to what the property will sell for. And if we're on the same page, then the property is going to sell.
Right.
9 times out of 10.
And a lot of times, you're just not on the same page. So it's this pain that has to be the teacher for some of the sellers.
Well, it can be unfortunate sometimes.
Yeah.
I met with a for sale by owner just a couple of days ago, and he has a house in Old Fourth Ward, right near Inman Park, which is a booming area, right? As a for sale by owner, he had his property, and it was a very nice house, on the market for $560. I go through all the comps with them, and by the end of it, you can see their demeanor, how they just kind of sink into their chair, because they know it just as well as I do.
Right.
You know what? Put yourself in the position of the buyer. They have access to all this information, same as we do. What price would you pay for the house? Then there's always this little silence, you know. So he's at 560 right now. The price I suggested was 475 for the property. Needless to say, he's going to continue to rent it out and maybe revisit the market in a year.
Right.
He even looked at me since we're talking about this topic and said I should have done this 8 months ago. That's what he said to me.
Yeah, because now he's all in.
Yeah, all in. I mean, it's not a bad position to be in. You have a great house with good renters in it, but in the same sense, maybe he needed that cash for something else.
Yeah, but I can see him right now, and I can visualize him sinking back into his seat. You know, his eyes are shifting, a little bead of sweat, the ominous music in the background. You know, when he realized that, you know, I thought about this, I should have done something, we did nothing.
You actually hear that noise, too.
Exactly.
You actually hear that noise. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, man. Happens.
Such is life. Well, Sammy, listen, man, I want to really thank you for sharing your insights into this market with us today. I really appreciate you. And if anyone needs to, wants to reach out to you, what do they need to do?
Please dial my number anytime. 305-978-4249 is my cell. Please leave a voicemail. I will always get back to you.
And we'll make sure there's a link for him on this as well.
Well, you guys are the best, and I'd just like to say, go Falcons, baby. Brand new football season in the ATL.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
Welcome back to the fourth segment of this particular Real Estate 360 show, realestate360show.com. And this is Steve Connolly.
Cowboy.
And Mr.
That's Jason Myles.
Jason Myles.
Again, you guys have got to go to YouTube.
What's changed?
Oh, man. I can't even. I can't even. I mean, it is bright. We got a lot of glitter going on over here. We've got like I got to say it, the male stripper version of Eastwood over here.
Magic Steve. Huh?
That's right, Magic Steve. Keep your cow boots on,
I was
buddy.
thinking more of, hey, I'm just here to sing a song, you know what I'm saying? And, it's just another love song.
I love it, man. You guys have got to go to YouTube to see this. You got to go. Real Estate 360 show. You got to see it. And, of course, the podcast. But, Steve.
Yes.
We've got something coming up.
Yes, we do. We mentioned it earlier. I just wanted to mention it one more time. We do have a venue change. We're going to be at the Panera Bread in their conference room in Roswell for the, do your research using Zillow 2-hour segment. I'm probably going to be the one teaching that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I know you don't. Anyway, so that is September 14th for 2 hours from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. We will not be bringing in our continental breakfast.
No, not this time.
Panera Bread. I think they'd probably not appreciate that.
Yeah, they don't like that.
Yeah, but you can buy stuff there, and they would appreciate that.
They would. Yeah. And you know what? And the honest part about it is, for people that get there, around 9:30, because there's some people that get there 9:15, 9:30. The conversation starts, the networking starts. There's what happens after the show. There's the networking and the deal flow, all the connections that are made. So it's 2 hours of actual content, but there's at least another hour and a half of just networking.
We're going to be talking about, it's really kind of a segment of wholesale mastery, if you will. And, really what we're teaching people is how to make substantial amount of money. I mean, you can make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 or more on these wholesale flips.
That's right.
And there's just something that's just doesn't. I got to get this off my chest. Something just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, tell us about it.
So we're taking our time and we're teaching people how to make some really serious money. These colleges and universities, they spread all their their stuff over 2, 3, 4 years. Sometimes you're sticking around for 5 or 6. And $10, $20, $30, $50,000 a year for tuition,
and they're not teaching you how to make the money.
Not teaching you anything.
That's right.
Can we change? Can we kind of copy those guys and do that instead of what we're doing? I mean, we're charging $20.
Yeah, I don't think that
this doesn't make sense to me. We're teaching people how to make real money.
Yeah,
I mean, and do it fast.
Yeah.
And we're charging $20.
That's right.
Are we insane?
I mean, I think that this is about, for us, it's about saying, hey, you can do this as well. You don't have to do it just like us. There's options for you. Here are what those options are. Again, Real Estate 360.
Yeah.
And regardless of what you want to do, here's how you go about doing it. And for us, it's about kind of spreading the wealth, teaching other people how to fish, that whole thing, right? Because if I sit here, because we could do this, we could put this thing out there and charge you, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, and people would come. In fact, we'd probably have a hotel full of people if we did that.
We might have more people.
Exactly.
So why don't we, do that? And I'm just.
Yeah, I get it, because it's just not. If you guys want to make some money and you want to do it with a real good team, you want to learn from people that genuinely want to see you win, that aren't trying to extrapolate $50,000 from you.
I like that word.
Well, thank you. It is Thesaurus Thursday. But listen, if you just want to give your money away, we will have a hat at the door, okay? But come, get the information. Get to be a part of a network, because we talk about this all the time. If you want to get somewhere, you need to be around the people that are already where you're trying to go. You can't be around all your friends and think that you're going to make it, because they can't give you the information if they're not doing it. You have to be around them, around the people that are doing it. If you want to be anything, you have to put yourself in a circle of people that can help you get there. And by sitting back and saying, I'm not going to do it, or it's not worth it, or it's not worth my time, but you're out here and you're trying to figure it out, and you're spending, $100 here, $50 there, $80 there, $500 on this, whatever, and it's not working for you, you need to put yourself physically in front of people that can get you to where you want to go, because we're already doing it. And we've got people in our group that come pretty much every month.
Absolutely. And
are doing things. We've got one lady that's about to make, what, 10, 15,000?
I have no idea, but she's going to make some good money.
That's just the one deal.
Right, exactly.
It's just the one deal.
Now, if you look around at your 5 closest friends and you look at how much they're making, it's probably about what you're earning.
That's right.
And, sometimes, you might want to change some friends.
That's right.
I don't know.
Hey, listen, you can keep your friends. Just add another 5 that are doing what you want to do, and spread your time out amongst them. I guarantee you'll wind up spending more time with the people that are going to make you money.
Let's flip over to a new topic.
I'm ready.
Because, you were talking, we've talked about multifamily
yes,
a little bit during the segments and before the show.
Yes, sir.
And, we listened to Dale Walmsley, and we love what he's talking about, because we're doing that too. We're doing exactly the same thing.
That's right.
Would you talk about that for a little bit?
Sure. I mean, listen, the multifamily business is spectacular, and there's a lot of ways for you to get involved in it. Just for starters, a lot of people think, because I was guilty of this some time ago as well, years ago. Oh, you got to have, all this money, these millions of dollars to buy an apartment building, because in our mind, we were conditioned to be consumers. And even though I was investing in real estate, I was looking at investing in multifamilies the same way I would have had to have invested in the single family world. Well, that's just not the case. I mean, we're buying assets with, that are producing income, or have the potential to produce significant amounts of income. For us, we've been able to create ways for people to get involved for as little as $25,000.
Yeah.
In multifamilies, and have ownership equity and write-offs and cash flow. Those are things that are really significant to people. And what it does for the bottom line, your financial bottom line, is absolutely spectacular. Things that you cannot do and cannot get in the single-family world. Just to give you an example, have you ever heard of cost segregation? Cost segregation.
Yes, I have heard of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming you would have heard of that.
Oh,
yes.
You weren't talking to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Cost segregation is a tax method that you can only take advantage of when you spent $750,000 or more on a property, specifically commercial, multifamily, things like that. And it's a way for you to depreciate other aspects of the property. For instance, your typical straight line, write-off period for a property you buy is 27.5 years. There are some other options in there, but that's the typical one that people use. That's the structure. With cost segregation, you get more write-offs, anywhere between 1 and 7 years, depending on what it is, because the carpet is it's not going to last 30 years, right? The roof is generally not going to last 30 years. The cabinets, the toilets, the fixtures, the paint on the wall,
the appliances,
all of that. So you get to depreciate those things at a faster rate. And those things are the bulk of what your expenditures are in these properties. We're spending almost $1 million to renovate one press, almost as much as we paid for the property.
Exactly.
But we'll write off that entire 800 and some odd thousand over a 5-year period.
Yeah.
It's extremely significant. We go from, maybe a $10,000 or $20,000 a year write-off to a
$100,000,
140. I think it comes out to be $140,000, $150,000 a year.
But here's the overview. We jumped into real estate together because you and I met a long time ago. Life happened, we separated, and then we came back together as real estate.
It's the story of every great relationship.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so we did the wholesale. We saw the market change, and so we started doing the fix and flip, and we're seeing the market change.
Yes.
So we're dialing back a little bit to more wholesale. It's very specific wholesale, creating our own opportunities, and we're moving into multifamily. Why? Because what happened in 2008, 9, and 10 with multifamily?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I'm glad you brought this point up, Steve. So with multifamily, when we were watching all these foreclosures in the single-family world occur, we were watching financing dry up for that, of course, and then commercial financing dried up right after that because why wouldn't they? Because people don't have money to spend on goods, right? So these funding opportunities and earning opportunities, at least things that we were making money up to that point, were falling to the wayside. Well, what happens when you lose your house? You've got to rent somewhere. But you can't pay $1,700, $1,800 a month for a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom, and you just can't do it. Right. So, and you can't buy anything, so you have to go into a certain type of apartment building. And that's what thrived. Apartment buildings, C and B class in particular, there was less than 1% foreclosure rate. It was like 0.47% foreclosure rate for a 5 or 6 year period. It was absolutely spectacular. It was the most stable aspect of the real estate market.
But as investors, we kind of have to be into those before there's a slowdown.
Yes.
Or you said maybe a recession of some sort.
But it's the cash flow lifestyle too. You want to get into them. We're at the top of the market,
right? But
there's other opportunities in the C class, even the D class area. But it creates cash flow for yourself. But you first have to learn how to be a good operator, which we can help people with as well.
That's right.
But I got to say, because we got to get out of here.
Yeah, we do.
We got to get out of here. You guys got to go download us. Download the podcast on iTunes.
I got some songs to sing,
Make sure that you go to the website and check out the event September 14th. Leave some comments on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all that great stuff. See what we're talking about. Come and spend some time with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Realestate360show.com signing off.
Peace.